You ever wake up and think, today might be weird? Well, let me tell you, no matter how strange your day gets, it's got nothing on what you're about to hear. From people surviving the impossible to real-life glitches in the Matrix, these are some of the most bizarre things that have ever happened to anyone. First up, let's talk about a man named Tsutomu Yamaguchi. This guy survived not one but two atomic bombs. He was in Hiroshima when the first bomb dropped, managed to survive, made his way to Nagasaki just in time for the second one. And he survived that too. If anyone ever deserved a long vacation, it was him. Next, we've got the man who lived with a bullet in his head for 82 years. In 1917, William Lawless Pace was accidentally shot in the head by his brother when they were kids. The bullet was too dangerous to remove, so doctors just left it there. And he lived to be 94. Imagine walking around your whole life with a bullet in your skull and still making it almost a century. Then there's the story of Jean Rogers, who was struck by lightning twice. That's bad enough, but here's the kicker. The second time she was hit, she was standing in the exact same spot as the first time. Either the universe was really mad at that particular patch of land, or she had the worst luck imaginable. Speaking of bad luck, there's Roy Sullivan, a park ranger who holds the world record for most times being struck by lightning. 7 times. And if that's not crazy enough, after surviving all of that, he later died because of a love triangle. So lightning didn't get him, but romance did. Moving on, let's talk about Violet Jessup, aka Miss Unsinkable. She survived 3 shipwrecks, including the Titanic. First, she was on the Olympic when it collided with another ship. Then she was on the Titanic when it hit the iceberg. And finally, she was on the Britannic when it also sank. At that point, boats just weren't her thing. Then we have the story of the man who was swallowed by a whale and lived to tell the tale. Michael Packard, a lobster diver, was literally inside the mouth of a humpback whale off the coast of Massachusetts for about 30 seconds before the whale decided, yeah, this isn't food, and spat him back out. He walked away with some bruises, but also with the ultimate dinner party story. Ever heard of someone winning the lottery twice? How about 4 times? Joan Ginther, a woman from Texas, won multi-million-dollar lottery prizes 4 separate times, totaling over $20 million. Either she had the best luck in the world, or she cracked some kind of mathematical code that the rest of us need to know about. Let's talk about a guy who lived through falling out of an airplane without a parachute. In 1942, Soviet Lieutenant Ivan Chisov was forced to bail out of his damaged plane at 22,000 feet. He passed out from lack of oxygen on the way down, but instead of splattering on the ground, he landed on the side of a snowy ravine and walked away with minor injuries. Gravity just straight up took the day off. Now, for a real-life glitch in the Matrix, we've got the case of a man who vanished from a plane mid-flight. In 1971, a man named Dan Cooper hijacked a plane, collected a ransom of $200,000, and then parachuted out somewhere over the Pacific Northwest. The FBI searched for him for years, but no trace of him was ever found. The only thing recovered? Some of the cash buried in the ground. Where did he go? Nobody knows. Speaking of strange disappearances, in 1880, a man named David Lang was walking across a field in Tennessee when he vanished into thin air, in front of multiple witnesses. His family, his neighbors, even his farm animals saw him just disappear. No trace of him was ever found. It's one of the eeriest unexplained cases in history. Now let's talk about a woman who woke up in a coffin at her own funeral. Fagiliu Mukametsianov was declared dead by doctors and was being prepared for burial. But right before they closed the lid, she woke up, realized what was happening, and, understandably, started screaming. Sadly, the shock was too much, and she actually died for real a short time later. Then there's the story of Frane Selick, a man from Croatia who dodged death 7 times. He survived a plane crash, a train derailment, getting hit by a bus, and multiple car accidents, including one where his car literally fell off a cliff. After all that, he went on to win the lottery. Because at that point, why not? Another weird survival story. Julianne Kepka, a 17-year-old girl who survived a plane crash in the Amazon rainforest. Not only did she survive a 2-mile fall from the sky, but she also walked 11 days through the jungle with a broken collarbone until she found help. If this were a movie, nobody would believe it. How about the time a woman survived without a pulse for 17 hours? Velma Thomas suffered a cardiac arrest, and doctors tried everything. Nothing worked. Her family was saying their goodbyes, but then, out of nowhere, she suddenly came back to life. Doctors were so baffled they called it a miracle. And finally, there's the case of the guy who was hit by a meteorite. Ann Hodges is the only known verified person to have been struck by a meteorite and lived. It blasted through her house, hit her hip, and left her with a giant bruise. She didn't die, but imagine trying to explain that one to your insurance company. And there you have it. The weirdest, wildest things that have ever happened to people. Which one blew your mind the most? If you love bizarre, mind-bending stories like these, make sure to like and subscribe for more amazing, weird, and outright bizarre facts.